It's 1888, and London is gripped by terror. A series of brutal murders has taken place in the heart of Whitechapel, leaving behind a trail of blood and questions. But who was behind these heinous crimes? Was it a monster, or a mastermind? The hunt for the killer would become one of the most infamous in history. The first victim was Mary Ann Nichols, a 36-year-old prostitute who was brutally murdered on August 31st. Her body was found on Bucks Row, a notorious red-light district. The crime scene was chaotic, with blood splattered everywhere and no signs of forced entry or struggle. As the murders continued, a series of cryptic messages began to appear around Whitechapel. "Kiss me here" was scrawled in red paint above a blood-stained image of a hand. Was this a taunt from the killer, or a clue left behind? The police were baffled. Enter Inspector Frederick Aberline, a seasoned detective who would take on the case with a determination that bordered on obsession. With over 30 years of experience, Aberline was no stranger to crime, but nothing could have prepared him for the depravity and cunning of the killer he was about to face. The night of November 9, 1888, was one of terror for Annie Crook, a 35-year-old prostitute who had been targeted by the killer. Her body was discovered in a deserted alleyway off Hanbury Street, with multiple stab wounds and her throat slashed from ear to ear. The brutal murder sent shockwaves through the community, cementing Jack the Ripper's place as one of history's most infamous serial killers. Autopsy reports revealed that Annie suffered over 20 stab wounds, including those to her abdomen, back, and head. The severity of these injuries suggests a high degree of violence and aggression from the killer. However, some experts argue that the murder may have been staged to appear more severe than it actually was. Mary Jane Kelly, the last confirmed victim of Jack the Ripper, was a 25-year-old prostitute who had been seen with several men in the days leading up to her murder. Her body was discovered in a dilapidated room at Miller's Court, with evidence of extreme mutilation and violence. The crime scene revealed that Kelly had been brutally stabbed multiple times, with some wounds showing signs of torture. As the bodies piled up, medical professionals at the time struggled to understand the motivations behind the killer's actions. Dr. Thomas Bond, a pioneering surgeon who worked on several of the cases, noted that the injuries could not have been inflicted by anyone but an expert anatomist. This chilling observation has led many experts to speculate about the identity and background of Jack the Ripper. The investigation into Jack the Ripper's identity led detectives to consider the possibility that the killer was a local man, familiar with the area. One suspect emerged, Michael Ostrog, a Russian-born doctor who had been known to frequent Whitechapel. Detectives discovered that Ostrog had a history of mental illness and had been known to use multiple aliases. Some believed he was a prime suspect in the Ripper murders, but others argued his connection was circumstantial at best. In 1888, a mysterious message was discovered in Whitechapel, bearing anti-Semitic language. Some believed it was a clue left by the killer himself, attempting to deflect suspicion from the Jewish community. The final victim was Mary Kelly, whose brutal murder in 1888 shocked even the hardened residents of Whitechapel. Her body was found mutilated beyond recognition, sparking outrage and demands for justice from the public. In late August 1888, police discovered a gruesome crime scene at Golston Street. The victim, Annie Crook, had been brutally murdered, her body mutilated beyond recognition. Eyewitness accounts claimed to have seen a suspect fleeing the area, but no one was ever charged. As the investigation continued, police began to focus on a possible suspect. The Golston Street graffito was discovered near the crime scene, depicting a suspect with a distinctive facial feature. However, the graffito was likely a red herring, meant to mislead investigators. One theory is that Jack the Ripper was a medical professional or someone with knowledge of anatomy. The precision and skill displayed in the murders suggest a high level of expertise, possibly from someone who had worked in a hospital or mortuary. Some historians have suggested that anti-Semitic sentiment played a role in the Jack the Ripper murders. The Jew Bill controversy had been brewing in London's East End, with some residents blaming Jewish immigrants for economic woes. Could Jack the Ripper have been motivated by hate or prejudice? As the investigation drew to a close, theories about Jack's identity abounded. From Aaron Kosminski, a Polish immigrant with a history of mental illness, to Prince Albert Victor, a member of the royal family, none were ever proven conclusively. The case remains one of history's greatest unsolved mysteries. Despite the passage of time, Jack's crimes continue to captivate and horrify us. The case has had a lasting impact on our understanding of urban violence and the role of police in society. As we reflect on this dark chapter in history, we're reminded that even the most heinous crimes can't define us. Instead, they should drive us towards empathy, compassion, and justice. Final shot: a lone candle flickers in a dimly lit alleyway, casting eerie shadows on the walls as the documentary's title, Jack the Ripper, London's Victorian Terror, appears on screen, accompanied by the haunting sound of a violin playing a mournful melody.